All right, we're live again with the Don't Say the F Word podcast. We are going to be joined by Dave Redneck Mundell, the BKFC Middleweight Champion of the world. Difficulties originally could have been any number of things. It could have been just from a flip phone. I don't really know. There we go. There's the redneck.
Live.
Yeah, finally. I was having a heck of a time, Dave. The technology is not made for puppets.
It's not made for me
I wanted
either.
you to see this. I'm a champ too, just like you. It's my understanding in today's world you can buy a championship belt and call yourself a champion.
That you can.
I see a lot of call-outs happening that way. Let me go get the big guy for you. Hey, big guy. Yeah, I'm on my way. Dave, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Busy. You know, you just continue on with life. I'm actually on my way to my
How's training going?
I can't complain, man. I'm able to get it in every day, so that's a plus.
That's always good. That's always good. So behind me, I have BKFC 34 poster from the Donnyport Company. I have the BKFC 34 up here on the screen from December 3rd, whenever you won that middleweight title. Won the title. Didn't purchase the title. You won the title.
Won it the way it should be done.
Since that time, we're talking 6 months' time, BKFC has blown up, big. Just as we discussed in our previous conversation that things were getting crazy, it was getting big. How do you feel about the growth of BKFC?
I'm happy for it. You know, I knew it was coming. I just, from the day that I stepped in there and fought for them the first time, you know, I just knew it was going to be big, and it's growing at a pace even faster than I expected. So, you know, it's just awesome.
With the growth comes tons of new fans, tons of new eyes. As a champion in the promotion, what things do you want to say to those people who, I don't want to use the term casual because I feel like that has such a negative connotation in the world of sports, calling someone a casual fan. But to new fans of BKFC, what should they know that sets BKFC apart from other combat sports?
You know, it's just different levels, you know, so you come in and you're going to get a little bit of everything. You have some guys who are new to the sport that come in and they just brawl like crazy. You got some guys who are the in-between, you know, have a little bit of technique and kind of can slow the pace down, and you got guys who are experienced. But regardless, if you go to any BKFC event, watch it, whatever, whether you're there live or watching it live, like you can expect knockouts, you can definitely expect violence, and it's just an awesome, high energy, fast-paced show.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. I love the smaller area. I love the shorter rounds. It forces that action, and that starting off in the middle of the ring, not in the corner, not at the edge, dead center, 3 feet apart from each other. You got to be ready to go.
Yep. You know, I think it kind of like, I believe wrestling back in high school was the same way. We started off toe to toe, and there was no pause. So it fits in with me well, and you know, it's just like I said, you get right to it. You know, there's no hiding. You know, you gotta fight. You know, so it's a great sport. It's a great time, and it's fun. It's different. You know, some people compare it to almost like a street fight or street brawl, but there's still rules, and you better know what you're doing, because if you don't, you're gonna get hurt in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a combat sport. It's not, you know, like I said before, it feels like the early days of the UFC and MMA, where people were searching for the negative, searching for the bad to say about people going out here and competing and being athletes. And it's not for street thugs; it's for athletes. It's for men and women who are training and putting a lot into it.
It's so what I can say to those people who, if you come in there and you fight like you're on the streets, you're not going to last very long. You might be able to handle a few bones, but you're going to run into somebody like me, and that's going to be the end of that.
That's for sure, man. I mean, I think the combat sports world was kind of put on notice your last few outings in BKFC. That the redneck's not here to play. You're here to be a champion and take people out. How do you feel you've evolved your game over the last year in BKFC? And I've seen those changes, but how would you explain what you've done to develop into a different fighter?
It's like I said, it is a completely different sport than MMA and boxing. All right, MMA, you have little gloves on, so the range is kind of there. Boxing, you're boxing, but the range is completely different because without those big pillows on your hand, you don't quite cover the distance you think you can. You can't catch the same punches, so it's a mixture. And over the time, I've learned a lot about what my body can take, as far as my hands go, and how to place the punches and pick my punches. Really, dictate the pace that way to make sure that I'm able to keep going.
So, in your combat sports career, you've done a little bit of everything. With BKFC, do you feel like you've refined your boxing to a different level where your combinations are different, where you're looking for more body shots and looking for those softer targets?
Definitely. I like working the body just because I feel like they're free punches for the hands. Like, it's just like hitting a bag. There's no damage. You hit somebody in the forehead, you could hurt yourself. And as far as my boxing level, of course, it's taken off because now instead of having to worry about the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu and even kicks involved, like, I'm able to just hone in on just the sport of boxing, and took off from there.
How you feel from a fitness level? You doing anything different just overall fitness wise?
Going into it, like, we always made fun of the rounds, like only being 2 minute rounds. Like, there's no way you're going to get tired because we came from 5, or if you're boxing, it's 3. So I stick with the longer rounds now. Like, a lot of times when we move around or we spar, we don't even have timers. Like, we just go until somebody literally quits, which can obviously be a long time. So our rounds can be 15, 20 minutes before we swap into a different person. And I think that's been a big plus to me, like, being able to go out there in 2 minutes. It almost feels too quick, so I'm kind of forced to push the pace a little bit that way, and I just don't feel like I get tired. So it's a beautiful thing.
That's a fantastic thing. I was back in my years of training. I feel like you hear about those rounds, 5-minute rounds of MMA, and doing amateur MMA, you see those 3-minute rounds, like, oh man, I'm going to feel great, and you find yourself in a bad spot and feeling a little gassed out in between rounds. You're like, man, next round's going to be a terrible situation. And so if you're training in a way where these rounds feel good to you, man, that's got to make you feel more than ready as you're looking down the road for what your next fight will be.
Absolutely.
So as we're talking next fights, we're going to talk a little bit about some current events in the world of BKFC. The biggest event they've had without question, right? We had former UFC stars. We had Mike Perry, continuously getting referred to as the face of BKFC. That statement in and of itself, how does that make you feel, being the middleweight champ? Which, again, you're the middleweight champ, and people call him the face of BKFC.
It's unfortunately, we're just at the beginning of the BKFC life. So it's going to happen. They feel like he's bringing a lot of eyes to the sport, which I feel he has, but
yeah,
I feel like he's bringing anybody new anymore. I feel his time of bringing on those people are come, and then as soon as they're done with him, that's when they'll finally give them to me. And when that happens, we're going to go ahead and steal all that shine.
That's what I'm talking about. How'd you feel about his fight with Luke Rockhold? How did you think? How do you think both guys looked?
Shit show. They both looked absolutely horrible, trash, amateurish at best.
So the stoppage, Luke Rockhold verbally throws it in. I've been punched in the face a lot. You've been punched in the face a hell of a lot by more worthy adversaries than I've ever been punched by. What the hell kind of mouthpiece did he have in his mouth?
I think that man went in there for a check and completely just he's a bitch. I mean, there's no way around it. He
ran out of modeling money.
He went in there because he's seen what I've seen in Mike is that he's trash, but Luke just didn't have the balls that tough it out. You know, as people were saying, he doesn't have the dog in him, and he just wasn't about it.
Yeah, I think maybe you get some of that modeling money. Perhaps getting punched in the face isn't what you should continue to pursue.
And his teeth got knocked in. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is. I remember, man, way back, Vanderlei Silva saying he was gonna that if him and Shogun Rua had to fight, he'd break Shogun's model face, and that's all I could think whenever Luke Rockhold was coming to BKFC. Like, someone's gonna break his model face. It's gonna be a wrap.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It was good for the views, and then later on down the road, I don't think anyone's ever going to want to see stuff like that, hopefully, because that was just garbage.
Yeah. So Mike Perry did some call-outs. He didn't call out anyone with the BKFC contract that I'm aware of.
Of course not.
How did you feel about Conor stepping into that ring and having a BKFC title on his shoulder? And, I mean, that brought tons of eyes, which is great. But Mike Perry didn't mention anyone with a BKFC contract that I heard in any conversation after that event.
As far as Conor stepping in the cage, it was great for the sport. It was great to bring some views. I'm glad he showed some love. As far as him actually getting in there, I don't think he would. But if he does, it's to bring views, to bring eyes. And if he does that, I hope he comes right for that belt. That'd be my belt. And I'd love to put my hands on him.
Yeah, that was my thought whenever he got in there. I'm like, man, I believe he had Lorenzo Hunt, one of Lorenzo Hunt's titles is what he was carrying into the ring there. But man, if he comes in, he's going to come in after the Redneck. And that's a bare-knuckle fight I really want to see.
I would love it. It'd be a lot of fun. As somebody who could actually has good MMA boxing, and I feel like he's just too small for me, but I feel like his skill level is up there, and see how he reacts to get hit in the face without the gloves on.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see how he covers distance in that ring with no gloves and no grappling, no kicks. Can he cover distance the same way?
Well, if he's a man with a lot of money, so if he puts it to use, then I'm sure he could. But he's going to need all of that he can get because he'd be stepping in there with a monster.
That's for damn sure. Have you had any fights offered to you that you can talk about, that's anything that's close to being a done deal that we could see happen in the near future?
I haven't had anything set in stone. I've been on the bench for, what has it been, 4 months already now. I fought last December. I'm looking to fight here at home in July. I believe they're coming back to either Tampa or Lakeland, and I would love to jump on that card, and I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. And at this point, I'm hoping to fight Mike Richmond because, honestly, he's the only person out there besides myself that's worth a damn. And then I feel like once I go ahead and knock him out, like, there will be no competition, and then they'll have no choice but to bring some big guys in with some big names, to try to take me off my throne, which obviously ain't going to happen.
And I feel like these last last few months, they've certainly generated the views. The pay-per-views have been there. The money's come in where they can start bringing in some guys who are looking to make some cash, and they can start paying out some cash to get some skill set in there to continue to build things up.
Yeah. That is another cool thing about the sport is since it is so new, like these big guys, they can come in, they can help bring some eyes to the sport very easily, and it makes for fun for all of us because we don't know what we're gonna get. Are we gonna get somebody in there who's gonna actually be able to tough it out and fight as well as we do, or are they gonna break like Rockhold did?
Yeah. I mean, it was. I don't know, man. What combat sports athlete professional has a mouthpiece that doesn't do a good job?
He should have been wearing that Iron Jaw mouthpiece.
Yeah, I don't know. I was really hoping to go back and hopefully find some point where he talked about a sponsor and talk about who made his mouthpiece for him prior to that, to see if anyone was putting that out there, because like that's a bad advertisement right there.
I mean, I hope so. Maybe they'll be paying for his teeth.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's always that disclaimer of if something happens, they'll cover it. That looked expensive.
And that's the thing. And the way he was fighting scared. He talked about all this footwork he had, and it was non-existent. He was literally tripping over his own feet. And being a taller, obviously longer guy, like he wasn't even able to keep Mike at bay, which honestly shouldn't be hard to do because Mike runs straight in there, doesn't move his head. Like Luke even connected with it. Why it just like throw it right down the middle again and again, but he was fighting, like I said, scared. He walked in there, in my eyes, completely just to be able to say he did it, collect the check, and bounce, because that was just horrible display of skills from both sides.
And that's an interesting thing about Mike Perry, is he flat out tells everyone, I'm just going to walk straight at you, and I'm willing to take two to land one and hope for the best. To me, if that's your strategy, it's a terrible strategy to tell people is your strategy.
Yeah, well, something we talk about a lot is being tough is not a compliment. Being known as being tough means you're known for getting beat up. Having a good chin like that obviously has its benefits, but it's not a compliment. And Mike's tough. He's got a great chin, but it's constantly. I don't know. I don't know what it is about these people who just are scared of him, and I don't know why. He hits hard, okay, just don't get hit by him. It's pretty easy because he just punches like it's slow. He showcases everything. He walks. There's no technique behind it. It's very straightforward. He's amateurish,
Yeah, I mean, and even the way he discussed his own technique is amateurish. He said he was gonna headbutt Lou Rockhold's fist. That's telling me you're gonna get punched in the head. Like that's not a good strategy.
I promise you, if my hands hit him in the face, he's going to bed.
Boom. So if you get the opportunity to do the call outs like Mike Perry did, let's open it up to anyone, since you don't have to call out people who are under contract. Not necessary. You can he went for he called out Logan Paul, who's a WWE guy and a boxer, not BKFC. He calls out Conor, not BKFC guy. So if you can call anybody on the planet, who are you calling out?
I mean, I don't really have a wish list of anybody. If anybody they bring in, I'd just be willing to fight. Give me the contract, I'll sign the contract. But as far as what brings the most views, definitely somebody like Conor. Having him come in and being able to put him away, people who don't know would be like, oh, wow, that guy is really good. If he just put Conor away, that's, he's amazing. So that would be a fun fight. But outside of that, man, like I said, I don't have any wish list. I just want to fight.
I hope we get to see you fighting soon, man. If you get on that July card, it's going to be awesome. July's not far away. You're already in the gym regularly. You're feeling good. You're healthy, and that's all you can hope for, right?
Absolutely. That's the biggest part about this sport is just staying ready and staying healthy. We go in there, we take a lot of punishment camps. They take a lot out of us, but I've had plenty of time off to where at this point I'm just going stir crazy. I'm ready to be in there today. So as soon as they tell me the date, I'm gonna release it. I'll let everyone know, and we're going in there for somebody's head.
That's all we can hope for, man. How many fights are left in your contract?
I have never been under contract with them. I am a one fight at a time guy.
Really? So you're just
I honestly,
you got the belt, and they offering you anything to lock you down?
We're actually supposed to be in talks about that very soon. Nothing has been brought up yet, but we'll see what happens. I don't think they expected me to win the fights that I do. I keep going in there and showing them that, I'm the real deal. Like going back to the Hector fight, I 100% believe they brought me in there on the B side expecting him to just knock me out. They didn't expect me to beat him with one, I'll tell you that much. And even though they said I lost that fight by decision, you can talk to anybody. It was bullshit decision on that fight. And so as far as I'm concerned, I'm still undefeated, and I don't expected me to finish Richie, let alone beat him. So that's just where we're at. I know what I got to do now. Like, when I go in there, I don't get away with decisions. I got to put these guys away, and I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I think you're right with the Hector Lombard fight. I think they thought they were feeding you to Hector, which, I mean, that happens in all combat sports. It's kind of the name of the game where promoters think they're doing that to build somebody up. But you could take someone who's never seen a bare-knuckle fight and have them watch that fight. You won that fight.
What I can say to that is, I definitely outboxed him 100%. If it was a boxing match, I definitely won. But I learned a lot from that fight because as we all already know, you can't leave it up to the judges, but I feel like I learned more of what they want to see. They like to see the forward pressure more than anything. So if you're fighting going backwards, you better damn sure knock him out, because if you don't, you could have been beating that guy's ass the whole time, and they still give the other dude the decision just because he was giving that forward pressure. So with that being said, we transitioned a lot into that, and we started putting forward pressure on people, and it's made a big difference. Not only in just like making sure we win the decision, but it tends to put people out as well. It takes two people to fight. I need them coming, or at least standing their ground, and when they do that, I find them, and it's lights out.
Yeah, man. When it comes to the judging in combat sports, do you think athletic commissions need a stricter criteria of some experience in some capacity, whether it be training, competing, coaching, for who they allow to be a judge?
That's a very a tricky question. Because you could just take somebody like, we have a lot of what you called casual fans who just come in, they watch for the first time, and they don't necessarily know what they're looking at either. So they just like the excitement. So we got to kind of, it's a majority type thing. It's going to be hard to like nitpick at stuff like that. So it's really up to the fighters to just go ahead and put the dude away. It's just one of those things, man. Nothing you can do about it. It's been that way forever, and it's just going to be that way.
Yeah. Hopefully something gets better, because too many guys get robbed. I mean, again, don't leave it to them, but
yeah, I like the real, I think it was real time scoring or whatever, where they tell you the score between each rounds. I feel like that would help. You're winning, but you look up at the score and you see that you're not, like, you might go out there and put more into it. When I fought Dave Simpson, I was pretty sure I was winning regardless, but
I'm almost positive he knew he was losing. So that last round, you know, he went out on his shield, so to call. Like, he actually said, okay, and I'm going to start rushing me. And when he did that, I was able to catch him. So it was one of those things, is he either had to come in and knock me out, or he was getting knocked out. And he did what he was supposed to do as a fighter, and he went out on a shield. All these guys like Luke Rockhold quitting because they get punched in the face, to me, is crazy. But anyway, back to the real-time scoring, I feel like that would help a lot. It would probably also increase the action. You know, people would see, okay, I'm down. If I don't do something, I'm going to lose, and there's no question about it. Then they're going to push forward more. You know, and that's just going to make the pace of the fight even faster.
Yeah, I definitely think that would increase the intensity when we come to those later rounds. Especially, you have some guys whose corner doesn't give them real advice. They just try to make them feel a little bit better, and they don't let them know, hey, you've been getting your ass beat. You need to do something. Sometimes it's a kid glove situation in the corner of, oh, you're doing fine, and they're not doing fine. They need to know.
Yeah, that's, you know, that's just like I said, it's one of those things that it would make a difference for sure, and I think it'd make a difference for the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dave, I appreciate your time today, man. It was great catching up with you. I apologize for the technical difficulties in the beginning, but whenever the budget is to hire a puppet, it's what happens sometimes.
It's all good, man. I'm actually in between training sessions, so if there was a bad connection on my end, I apologize for that too. But I'm just trying to squeeze everybody in. I'm a very busy guy right now. I'm trying to get ready for everything.
That's heavy as the crown of the king, my friend. That is you're the champ. Everybody wants to talk to the champ.
Not only that, but I got teammates. Speaking of which, we got Brandon Superman Allen fighting May 12th, South Carolina, Greensville. You guys keep an eye on him. He's going to be the next champ in that weight class. You watch.
Oh, yeah, man. Do you got any sponsors you want to plug, anything where people can keep up with you or help you out?
You know, I have a long list of sponsors, you know, Condemns, Catalyst Physical Therapy, Fitness 360, Legendary Tattoos. I got Florida Alternative Medicine. The list goes on and on. Everyone plays a part. You know, shout out to the Shift MMA gym. Our boys are on there. We're going to have a lot of belts in that gym real soon. You guys keep an eye on us.
Oh, yeah, man. And there'll be real belts, not store-bought belts. Real belts.
Real belts.
All right, man. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you for everyone who stopped in for the Instagram Live for Don't Say the F Word. The replay will be up on Spotify and Google Podcasts later on. And I thank you, Redneck, and I can't wait to see you back in the ring, my friend.
I appreciate your time, brother. Thank you.
Take care. Drive safe.
Yes, sir.